From WDO Member Enigma Creative comes a conversation exploring the layered realities of life along the San Diego-Tijuana border. Building on the legacy of World Design Capital San Diego-Tijuana 2024, this session brings together Enigma co-founders Katalina Silva and Arturo Elenes, alongside trans-border scholar Norma Iglesias-Prieto and designer Alita Escobedo, to highlight the story of play Borderisms. Their presentation explores how the ongoing audiovisual project captures design as both a poetic and critical lens on belonging, displacement, and resilience in a cross-border context.
Resilience in a trans-border context should not be understood simply as the ability of individuals to adapt to difficult circumstances. From a critical border studies perspective, that definition risks romanticizing the challenges people face and turning structural inequalities into stories of personal strength. Along the Tijuana-San Diego border, people develop everyday strategies to navigate different legal systems, economies, languages, and cultural expectations. This practice reveals creativity and agency, but they also expose the unequal condition that makes such constant negotiation necessary. For designers, the key lesson is not to celebrate adaptation itself, but to understand the social, political, and institutional forces that shape it. A focus on resilience must also go beyond infrastructure, economic flow, or governance systems to include emotions, memory, belongings, and life experience, the human part. Precisely, this reflects the evolution of border studies from the factual stage, in which we document actions, for example, how many people cross, how many people have dual citizenship, etc., to a stage in which we center in cultural and environmental fluidity on the border, to a third stage that analyzes the border from the deepest human experience. And it's here where I locate my concept of Borderisms, which analyze the border as a condition of meaning. In other words, what the border means to the people. In order to capture this, we have to center the discussion in people's life, desires, and dreams. Borders are not only managed by institutions, they are inhabited by people whose identities, relationships, aspirations often extends to a cross-border or national boundary, Feeling of attachment. Borders are not only managed by institutions, they are inhabited by people whose identity, relationship, and aspirations often extend across national boundaries. Feeling of attachment, histories of migration, family networks, and community knowledge are essential resources that help people navigate uncertainty and exclusion. Ignoring this human dimension can lead to solutions that treat borders only as technical problems rather than complex social realities. Designing for resilience, therefore, requires engaging with the experiences and knowledge of border communities themselves, recognizing them as active agents rather than passive recipients of policies or design interventions. The Tijuana-San Diego experience offers a broader lesson for building more resilient and equitable trans-border future elsewhere. It shows that borders are not only spaces of division, but sites of cultural production, collaboration, and everyday coexistence. At the same time, it reminds us that trans-border interactions are shaped by profound asymmetries of power, mobilities, and opportunity. The goal should not be merely to help people cope more effectively with these conditions, but to question and transform the structures of power that produce vulnerability in the first place. A truly resilient A border is not simply one where people adapt successfully. It is the one where justice, participation, and recognition are central to how transborder life is imagined and governed.
Play Borderisms is a design project that explores the many ways people experience life in relation to borders. Through stories and conversations, the project invites people to reflect on identity, belonging, movement, memory, and the invisible boundaries that shape our lives. Borders may divide territories, but people constantly reshape the spaces between them. While it is inspired by the US-Mexico border, Play Borderisms is really about the human experience of living with borders wherever they may exist.
In the Tijuana-San Diego border, I have found more than 18 different kind of borderisms that very diverse. Among them, for example, the non-border borderism, that is the people or approaches that deny the existence of the border or that they could live ignoring the fact that the border exists or affect their life. Of course, that is related with power. Nobody in the south part of the border could ignore that geopolitical fact. There's also the borderism, that is all the people that it doesn't matter if they cross or not, they are aware and their life is marked by this geopolitical fact. There's also the binational borderism that is characterized by collaboration, the notion that you need to collaborate with the neighbor or the other in order to have a better life. Then we have also the deportees, the Mexican Americans, the ones that are waiting in order to cross, and the transborder borderism that is the most complex one. The most complex borderism is the transborder one, because you become an active member, a committed member of both sides, and because you become part of both sides, the sense of otherness disappear. It's a process because you have to learn the skills and to learn how to navigate and to be a perfect resident of one side and also to the other. So to be a transborder subject or to promote the transborder approach is like the best opportunity and the hope for the region. It's important to mention that any borderism it's a process. Nobody born as a transborder subject, you become a transborder one. And that comes with opportunities and in certain level privilege, but also it comes with a lot of sacrifices. It's estimated that transborder people spend 1/3 of their life waiting to cross, waiting in the line to cross. And of course, in the new political context, this is going to be more difficult to develop. But the transborder people at the transborder approach represent the hope, represent the opportunity to function and to the way of understanding this region in a more complex way. And that is why I argue that transborder people and transborder approaches are hope.
When I look back at WDC 2024, I think one of its biggest contributions was supporting design as a civic tool. Design is a broad discipline, often related to products, graphics, or aesthetics. WDC 2024 helped demonstrate that design can also be used to address social and civic challenges. I think it also changed the way many of us see this region. Instead of thinking about San Diego and Tijuana as two separate cities, it encouraged us to see them as part of a shared ecosystem. During that process, designers, institutions, governments, universities, and community organizations started working together in new ways. Another important shift was how we talked about the border. Rather than seeing it only as a problem to solve, it became an opportunity to design, for design. The conversation expanded towards shared experiences, hybrid identities, and cross-border innovation. For me, the most important legacy is not a single project, it's the relationships that were built. New networks emerged between San Diego and Tijuana, and many of the collaborations we see today can be traced back to connections that were supported during that year. I think Play Borderisms is a great example of that legacy in action. The project exists because there is an audience for these conversations. It continues the civic engagement dimension of WDC 2024 by inviting dialogue, reflection, and participation. What I love about the project is that it creates an accessible way for people to talk about the realities of border life. It reflects the unique border identity of our region, and honestly, it's a project that could only emerge in San Diego and Tijuana. So if World Design Capital show that design can bring people together across borders, the Play Borderisms is an example of what comes next. It's a continuation of the legacy through participation, conversation, and shared experiences.
The legacy of World Design Capital San Diego-Tijuana 2024, I think it can be seen in projects that understand design as a platform for dialogue, participation, and shared civic experience. One of its most significant contributions was expanding the perception of design beyond a products or aesthetics and highlighting its capacity to engage with social, cultural, and territorial challenges. Projects like Play Borderisms reflect that legacy by approaching the border as a space of interaction rather than separation. Through participation and play, the project encouraged people to explore the complexities of the region, fostering new forms of understanding and connection across communities. Perhaps the most lasting impact of World Design Capital is the recognition that cross-border collaboration is not simply an outcome, but an ongoing process. In that context, Play Borderism demonstrates how design can create opportunities for collective engagement, helping people imagine new relationships with place, identity, and one another. Rather than offering solutions, projects like these open spaces for conversation, curiosity, and civic participation, qualities that remain essential to the future of the San Diego and Tijuana region, definitely.
For me, to live in the U.S.-Mexico border, particularly in the Tijuana-San Diego border, is the best thing that could happen to me as a border scholar, as a trans-border scholar. So I'm living in what Teddy Cruz called the political equator. This is this idea of that if we trade an imaginary line in the parallel in which Tijuana-San Diego is located, we are going to find the most dramatic, tensional, dynamic borders in the globe. So it's Tijuana-San Diego, then Ceuta-Melilla, the Mediterranean, and all the flow, the migration flow from the south to Europe, then Israel and Palestine, India and Pakistan in the Kashmir area, and the two models of China. So I'm living in an area that works like a magnifier glass of global trends that not only magnify or exacerbated the conflicts, the challenges, and the tensions in the world, but also is a place in which you could create solutions. So if you could create solutions in these areas, you are more than well prepared to create solutions in other areas in the globe. So it's a magnifier glass of global trends. There's a lot of creativity here in this area because there are so many challenges and an incredible contrast between a society of having a lot or even waste, and societies who have to develop in a very creative ways solutions. So I think I'm living in one of the best areas of the world to be a border scholar and to be a creative person.